What is happening, healthcare digital marketing, and those of you listening on the podcast? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I got something so unique today. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let me tell you a little story here. So Will and I have been in business for about 2.5 years now. We've served at this point hundreds of people, if not thousands, with our products. Probably hundreds. Honestly, I should go back and look. But there was always one of our clients who, when they showed me their business model, I was so blown away that I had never seen anything like it before. And every single time I see this guy that you guys are about to meet and hear from, I just think this is one of the most creative things that I've ever seen. Not only the creativity of it, but the actual mastery of being able to make the idea a reality. And the dude's written a book on it, and I'm being super cryptic about what this is. So I want to introduce you all to a good friend, JT Dulkerian, who is also an amazing business owner. So JT came to us about, I don't know, maybe, gosh, it was what, a year and a half ago-ish, maybe, when you actually first became our client. But then I know JT's been following us forever. He's one of the OGs in this group. So I wanted to bring JT on to show you guys what he's done in the mobile therapy space, specifically with creating a mobile studio. And when I say mobile studio, I want you to think literally it's a vehicle that is totally maxed out, not just with stretchy bands and an exercise ball, but it's an actual studio on wheels, like a clinic on wheels. And it's the coolest thing ever. When you see inside, it's like, oh my gosh, you can make that. And yes, he made it. And then he wrote the book on how to do it yourself. So without further ado, y'all, I want to introduce you to the Pioneer PT, my man, JT Dulkerian. JT, thanks so much for coming on today.
Alex, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I mean, as you said, I've been following you guys probably since the start, and I've learned a lot. So, dude, I appreciate the opportunity.
Heck yeah, man. All right. So the reason that we brought you on is we're all about innovative, being innovative in your business within healthcare. We talk a lot about the digital marketing side of things. I want to talk to you about how do you deliver your service and package your service and talk about your service in a way that totally differentiates you from your competition. And that's what we brought JT on today to talk about. By the way, if you're coming on here live, if you're watching, just comment live. If you're on the replay, comment replay. If you're listening to the podcast, keep holding onto the steering wheel so that you don't crash. But if any of you have seen his setup, it is ridiculous. All right, JT, do you have a picture, first of all, that you can show us of what your setup looks like? And just explain to us, give us a little bit of background, man. First of all, who are you? I mean, I gave you a little bit of intro, but who are you? Tell us your story a little bit. How did you get into this, and what is it that you created?
Sure. Yeah. I'm JT Dulkerian, doctor of physical therapy. I live in Maryland. I've grown up here all my life. And I just wanted to build something unique that I could bring convenient and personalized care to people. So I got a picture right here actually in my book. So I just wrote this book that I want everybody to check out. But maybe you guys can see that.
Oh yeah, wait. I'm gonna make your video bigger here. I think I can make your video bigger. There we go. Let's see that again. Oh my goodness. If you're listening on the podcast, you got to go watch this on YouTube. This thing is so cool.
So why did I start it? I'll tell you about my story if that's cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I was a PT for probably 8 years or so before this idea came to me. And there was one day that stuck out in particular. I think if anyone who's been in the field knows that, all right, insurance always gets blamed for decreasing reimbursement, yada, yada, and care suffers. But one day in particular, my boss came to me and he, busy day, I was a director of a clinic, and he sat me down. He's like, listen, you got to change the way you're treating, change the way that you're doing things. You got to do group exercise. You need to be taping everybody that walks in the door, yada, yada. So I was like, so results, and they don't matter anymore. Building a relationship doesn't matter anymore. And basically he was like, no, it doesn't. You will never, ever get a raise again unless you do this. So I was like, what? Man, I was checked out. I was seriously checked out. I was considering different careers. And, at that time I'm like, screw it. I need to get away. I need to go on vacation. So I went with now my fiance, but we went out to California and we rented an old Volkswagen van again. The old Volkswagen bus that everybody's probably seen before. and we traveled the coast, saw the Big Sur, which is amazing, saw the redwoods, and they smell so unique. If you guys have never been there, I highly recommend you check it out. But I started to see all these do-it-yourself camper vans out there. And at first I'm like, that's a cool idea. I want one of them. I can go hiking and camping and surfing and mountain biking, and I have my weekend getaway vehicle. Maybe that'll get me by my weekdays that suck, so I can have fun on the weekends. And so, that was my thought process. Great vacation, came back to reality. It hit me in the face. I'm back to work, just grinding it out every day, seeing 20 people plus in a day and just burning out. And knowing with my boss in the back of my head that, I'm not ever going to get a raise. I'm capped out. It is what it is. So it was amazing. It was my aha moment. It was like a light bulb went off. I had a dream. I woke up at night, like 2 a.m, and I was like, aha, I got it. I am going to go and build a mobile studio. I'm going to put people in a mobile clinic and treat them in the clinic wherever they need it. So I can go out of network and charge cash. So that trip was in 2015, and I think Cash PT was still kind of new at that point.
Yeah, totally.
So 2016, I started to try to plan everything out. I'm like, what do I need to do to make this happen? And January of 2017, I flew down to Austin, Texas, in the Lone Star State, which is pretty cool because the van we rented was called the Lone Star. They all had names, right?
Yeah.
So it seemed like quite the coincidence. But I bought the truck, drove it back, and the rest is history. Built out a mobile studio, and here I am serving clients regularly for over a couple years now.
So for those who like are listening on audio right now, couldn't see the incredible setup that you have, or those who are just like, wait a minute, what do you mean mobile studio? Describe to me your mobile studio. What's inside? Because it's definitely not just like stretchy bands and foam rollers that you throw into the back of a van and show up at someone's house to take inside, right? That's not what we're talking about.
No, it's like a room on wheels. So, the inside's like 15 feet long, and, I'm a fairly tall guy. I'm over 6'2", and I can reach up overhead. So there's plenty of room to work on overhead activities, but I mean, nice floors, wainscoting, everything, man. I have a custom exercise equipment from Kaiser. So it's a functional trainer. I can do any type of strengthening in there. The massage table does fold up, so I can always take that in people's homes if they like. Running water, heat, AC, all temperature controlled. So it's always comfortable for people, no matter what time of the year.
You have running water in the studio.
Gotta keep sanitary.
So wait, you have running water, you have heat, you have AC. This is like completely temperature. It's like they're literally going to a clinic room.
It's like a clinic room.
This is so cool.
And the cool thing is, when the weather's nice, I can go outside and do exercise outside, and everybody knows how nice that is for mental health. You're not stuck in a box anymore.
Okay, so for those who are wondering, like, okay, this is super cool. How do I do this? We'll talk about JT's written a book. By the way, if you haven't seen the prompt yet, you can comment. What are we saying to comment? Mobile Studio Strong. We'll talk about this at the end of the interview for sure. But I just wanted to let you know that he's literally written a book. It's launching next week, which is why I wanted to bring him on here. I think we're doing like a 50% off deal for people for this first week. Is that right?
Yeah.
Sweet. So comment Mobile Studio Strong. We'll talk about the book and everything that's in there. But I want to let people know about that. But dude, I'm super curious as a business. What are some of the weirdest places you've gone to actually treat people? Because like it allows you to treat wherever, I would imagine. What are like weird stories of places where you've treated?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's been fun. Kind of, you can imagine it. I've probably seen them there, but some of the coolest things, like, so I live in the Baltimore metro area. I picked up, high class business, like, CEOs and executives from their office, pick them up at the door, drive down by the harbor on the water, see them for their visit, and then bring them right back to their office at the end of the session. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
So cool.
But then otherwise, wherever it's convenient. So I see a lot of people at their home for sure, at their office for sure. But then also like maybe on their commute home so they can get home to their family faster. It might be a parking ride. It might be the park. It might be a cyclocross event. It might be an ultra marathon. Um, I've seen people on the side of the road outside of their row home. It's just wherever you can dream it, I've probably seen them there.
That is so cool. What is like, do you feel like you're able to do more? I'm super curious because we have a lot of mobile therapists that are in here. By the way, if you're a mobile therapist, if you're on here on the replay or you're on here live, just comment mobile. If you're a mobile therapist right now that actively has a mobile business, we're curious to see how many. I know we have a bunch. What advantage do you feel like you have with the setup you've got versus if you were just mobile without this kind of like actual clinic on wheels, studio on wheels?
That's an awesome question. So, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest is flexibility, the advantage over just your car and the actual being able to bring equipment around with you. So you don't have to have a big bag and lug your massage table in someone's home all the time when you're really only restricted to their home. Because let's be honest, is the office an ideal place for a treatment? Probably not. But when you have a mobile studio, they can come right out and it's a private setting that you can see them anywhere. So, and that's what people like too, is the personalized care. You're not in the same clinic with 10 other people at the same time and yelling across to another client across the room. You get to focus just one-on-one with them. So I think flexibility is key. As with any mobile therapist, probably the radius you can actually serve is beneficial too. So it's not just like a brick and mortar. Yeah. So I would say there's definitely more advantages over brick and mortar, but the cool thing is that I actually get to get people really strong without just resistance bands or kettlebells maybe.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is so cool. I want to get into like some step-by-step stuff of how do you build it out, because I know that people have questions around that. By the way, guys, if you have questions for JT right now, I'm like, wait, what do you put in there? How do you do this? Feel free to drop them right here. I want to get into that in just a minute. I'm really curious though, man, because we've known each other for a couple of years at this point. We were talking before the interview too about the like what it feels like to be stepping into a position of like being an expert, being an authority on something right now, which, because you started this, you said like 2015-ish, right? Is sort of when
the idea came about. That's what was like fall of 2015. And then I didn't buy the vehicle till January of 2017. Yeah. And that's when I started the build out. Yeah. So, I tried to plan for this a lot because I had to figure out everything from the materials I needed, what I needed to put into it. Like we talked earlier, heat and AC were important in Maryland because it gets really cold in the winter, really warm in the summer. So it needs to be comfortable. Otherwise, it's not feasible to see people in a van, right?
Right.
So I had to make it nice and actually like a professional environment, like a clinic on wheels or a room on wheels.
Totally. So as you're thinking through all this stuff, I want to ask, because we have a lot of people in here who are like you, who have innovative ideas, who have done something cool. And they're like, man, I really want to be seen as an authority or as a leader in this, but I'm really nervous and scared to step into that role. And I don't feel like I'm ready. I don't feel like I'm the person to do that. I don't feel like I'm worthy of having other people's attention like this. I want to talk about, before you wrote this book, did you ever feel any hesitancy to sort of step out and put yourself out there in this way?
I mean, sure. I think everybody second guesses themselves sometimes, but at the end of the day, I think I'm a risk taker. And it's kind of built in my blood as far as my family has always owned family businesses. And I'm not down with the man. I'm just anti big organizations. And this is something that I feel like is in my blood. So I feel that I have to do it because I want to change change the status quo. The status quo in the physical therapy world was not cool. So I'm trying to really change the path of our profession.
Yeah. Honestly, right now for you, as you're like approaching launch week, how does it feel inside? Is there this like complete confidence? Is there nerves? Like just like realistically, man, what are you feeling right now as you're about to push launch on this book and really putting yourself out there as this expert?
Nervous excitement, this is something that I've been living for quite a few years now, and I'm actually able to go full time in my business now, which is awesome. So I think it's something that really can spread maybe even beyond the PT world. So I'd love to see this a regular occurrence in every city in the US and beyond.
Ooh. I have to tell you a story. So a lot of people know that I was a mascot in college, right? So I was the mascot at the University of Utah for 3 years while I was there between kind of undergrad and bridging over into grad school. And I remember, I don't know if you know the Utah Jazz at all. They're the NBA basketball team here. I grew up a huge Jazz fan. And about 6 months into being the mascot, I got called up by the Jazz Bear or I met the Jazz Bear at one of the events that we were doing. Anyway, I ended up being able to go into his van and like his setup. Now, he doesn't have obviously a mobile studio like you do, but he had a sick setup for like his I don't know what you'd call it, like the mascot mobile. But I was in there and I was like, oh my gosh, you can make these things so nice. Like, dude had AC in there. You had all these fans because it gets really hot as a mascot. You needed somewhere to go to like cool off, right outside of the sun. And I remember sitting in there, I was like, you could build this into like anything. This is amazing. And so every time I see the setup that you have, I had this flashback to these mascot vans and like how cool this is that can happen. And I remember thinking like, this must be so incredibly complicated to build out. Like because he had, you get your sweaty mascot suit. So you had to have a place to like hang up the suit and coolers and all that. He had like a mini fridge in there and all this stuff. I was like, this has to be super complicated to build out. How complicated was it for you? Like, are you like a carpenter? Like, how do you have the skill set to build something like that on your own? And I guess really my question is that something that like a normal PT and the average person could do?
I would say one person, no, you need some help.
Okay.
I think by reading this book, it will definitely tell you the materials that you need and give you the guidance you need to get it done. But I would absolutely get help. I had help from my father primarily. I'm like, Dad, these are the materials I need to get this job done. This is what I want to do. And yes, I did get some help from my father. But unless you're truly skilled in carpentry, as far as, I would not undertake it on your own. But there's ways you can hire folks out for the electrical work and stuff you don't feel comfortable with. Like I did hire somebody to do the heat and electricity, or the heat and the AC. It's a diesel fired heater, which is really awesome. So it takes a small drip from the diesel tank. It doesn't even have to be on, but it just, burns the fuel, heats the truck. And I didn't feel comfortable tapping into that. So you can always hire someone for certain tasks. But, if you have some of the tools to do it, it really wasn't that hard. It's just time consuming.
Sure.
I actually figured out the first time, right? The prototype was tough. But now that I know how to do it, I could do it again pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, and now you have the blueprint, which you're giving people literally in the book. So let's talk about the book for a minute. And we got questions rolling in here that I want to make sure we answer too. But tell me about the book. What's inside this book? As you were sort of flipping through the pages showing me beforehand, I was like, dang, you have like everything in there, man. Like when someone's like, hey, I think I might want to do this, what's in the book that could help them actually make this thing happen?
Sure. It goes over everything from considerations that you should think about, like, the terrain where you live, the weather where you live, who you actually want to serve. You have to think about that, number one. And that's something you taught me, Alex, is if you don't know who you're not clear on who you want to serve and who you enjoy helping with the most, then you may not want to do this. But if you are clear and you know a specific population, you can serve them really well where they are. But everything from that to the tools and materials you need. And that was part of the tricky part. The van, which you don't realize, is curved top to bottom and curved front to back. So it's almost like a boat. So you need materials that were flexible. But then also I wanted more waterproof materials. So people with their breathing and sweating when they're exercising, it just doesn't get moldy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, so the materials you need, and then it goes over everything from insulating the vehicle to framing the vehicle to the electrical, to the finishing walls and the finishing work. I mean, it goes from A to B, really, how to do it.
Jeez. This is so cool.
Then, it's been done before. You might as well read the book and know how to make it easier for yourself.
This is so cool. Okay, so first of all, when is the book? The book's going to be available. We said next week on the 50% deal. And when I say next week, if you're listening to the podcast and the podcast is out right now, that means this week. But as of the time of the recording, it'll be next week. And by the way, if you're on here, we got people already commenting. Mobile Studio Strong. JT, I'm going to commit you to reaching out to them once it's live at the 50% discount and sending them the direct link to your book. Is that cool? Are you
Absolutely.
willing to do that? Okay, dude, you're such a stud. I want to answer a couple questions here from people. And then I've got a couple more for you because this is so fun, man. I'm just nerding out on this. Someday I want a reason to have a mobile something as cool as you. Maybe it's going to be a mobile marketing studio. I don't know.
You could absolutely do that.
It's just so cool. Like I even want to learn, like, man, can we like build out a sweet camper like this for my family? The possibilities, man. You're just unlocking cool stuff here. All right. I want to answer a couple questions though here from the comments. Karen asks, hey Karen, thank you for coming on, by the way. Karen asks, how do you advertise and how do they find you? Hey, this is perfect because we're in healthcare digital marketing.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple ways that you advertise. Talk to people about how do you get clients?
Karen, that's an awesome question. How do I get clients? I get clients a few ways. I think everybody probably gets some word of mouth. Once you get known in a community, the trick is to get known and be an authority in some type of field. So that goes back to who do you want to serve? If you know who you want to serve, you can serve them well in their specific niche. So for me, I tend to serve a lot of cyclists and ultra runners or any runners really. But cyclists are big for me. So I'm a mountain biker. I'm involved in the cycling community. I go to these events on a regular basis, just giving my service for free there so they know who I am. I've just recently started to even support teams with, I'm blanking right now, but help me out here as far as donate to the team for more than just my service, but actually, help them out. But so yeah, focus on your niche, focus on the events you can do or where your people are that you want to serve. So, if it's CrossFit people, maybe you want to go to CrossFit gyms. If it's cyclists, you want to go to cycling events. That's been helpful. Word of mouth has been helpful. And then to be honest, since we're in the healthcare digital marketing right now, I would say absolutely Facebook and just being present on a weekly basis. I post every day of the week. And I've done that for over a year now, and it's been super helpful.
Are you posting on your personal profile or in groups? Where are you posting?
So mostly personal profile. I do one time a week on my business profile because that doesn't get as much as far as the views. And I tried a group, to be honest, but I backed out of that because, again, personal profiles tends to share to more folks. So I don't think I was quite specific enough with my group. Maybe that will change.
We might have to talk about that, man. I'm really curious. What do you actually do at events? When you go to an event, like let's say you're at a cycling event or something, what are you actually doing there for people? Because I know otherwise we might like pop up a tent and hand out flyers or something, maybe have a massage table out there or something. But like, what are you actually doing at events that your studio allows you to do?
So I definitely set up a table with my information, but I usually see people for free too. So people like, especially cyclists, end up having neck pain or back pain, especially when they're going hard on a race. So I just do a quick little eval and treat and give them my recommendations. And, I feel completely happy to do that. I enjoy doing it because I like working with these people. So it's not like really work to me, but I think people appreciate that and they recommend me to their friends.
Yeah. So cool. And on the personal profile side, what kind of content do you feel like has worked best for you now over the year of doing it? Now that you've got that much time practicing, what kinds of stuff are you doing? Live videos? Is it inspirational posts? Give me a sense of like what's been working for you, do you think?
Gotcha. Whew. What's been working? I think, definitely live videos is helpful. So I do at least one of them once a week. So I go live in Facebook and I talk about either a patient story from that week or something that makes Pioneer PT stand out and is different than a traditional physical therapy setting. I might throw a quote in every now and then just to make it easier on myself, to be honest. So I don't always have to think of content, but typically something that would benefit folks in some way, just so they can hear it and know there's help out there.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love that you're showing up. I love that you're being consistent. By the way, we got more comments rolling in. Josh Payne, the man, says, two amazing dudes here. Thank you, Josh. Chris says, great job, JT. Karen says, awesome. Interesting on the profile, no group. Yeah. So one thing that I just really want to reinforce to you is what JT said, guys. Figure out who it is that you want to serve. And then what JT's done is just built his business completely around how do I serve that group of people more? How do I give them more value? How do I add to them in a way that's unique from other businesses? You've done that to such a great extent, man. I just want to congratulate you for having built such a cool business, such a unique one, and then even more like being willing to put yourself out there like this and show people, hey, this is the way. Like this is how it's done. Because I can't imagine if I were looking as a mobile therapist how to completely differentiate myself, I would have no clue where to start with the things that you're teaching in this. But like I would just have no clue. So, dude, it's so cool that you put together a resource like this for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'd love to help more health and wellness practitioners do the same in their area. I can only bring better care, so people are going to be happier all around.
I love it. Dude, give us what's the name of the book for if people are listening to this like 2-3 months down the road, they're like, oh, I want that book. What's it called? How can people find it? What do they search for?
On Amazon, they can type in the Pioneer PT prototype, and the subtitle is The Ultimate Guide to Building Your Mobile Health and Wellness Studio.
Ooh, that's so good. So good. All right, y'all. Let's give a big thank you to JT for coming on and dropping some massive knowledge on how to be completely different in the mobile PT realm, creating a mobile studio. Last question, because we have a lot of people who aren't just PTs. What are other applications where you see having a mobile studio like this could work for outside of maybe straight physical therapy?
That's an awesome question. So, I mean, just coming to the top of my head now, I could see personal training, massage. It could potentially be on demand, even almost like a pediatric tumble bus type situation. So peds might work well. I think the opportunities are really endless.
Dude, that could be so cool for peds. I could totally see that, just having like a super fun like place to bring the kids in that allows you to do a lot of stuff that you might normally do in a clinic. That's really interesting. Dude, I love this. I can just see this being something that catches such fire, man, as people are looking at ways to differentiate themselves. And also even like I could see clinics wanting to have a mobile version of their clinic with this to go to races, even like bigger clinics that have multiple locations, but they want to have something at a race that totally sets them apart. Like I could see this being just so cool for that. If this is something that you want to look into, you absolutely go grab this book for JT, from JT. I'm going to be buying this guy. I just want to read like, dude, how did you come up with like materials and stuff? I'm really curious for this. So I'm going to go pick up my copy. But dude, thank you so much for coming on, dropping the knowledge. And again, Mobile Studio Strong is what you need to comment below. JT will reach out to you with the link when it goes live at 50% off. And then again, it's the Pioneer PT prototype, the ultimate guide to building your mobile studio. Y'all, this has been an awesome live interview with JT. Go follow him. By the way, man, how do people find you, like your website? If they're like, man, I want to check out his stuff, do they go find you on Facebook? Do they find you on a website? What's the easiest way for them to kind of connect with you if they have questions on this stuff?
Probably Facebook, to be honest. You can just type in my name, JT Dulkerian. If you want to check out my website, it's pioneerptmd, as in Maryland.com.
Love it. Guys, thanks so much for listening. I just want to highlight, again, someone who has such a unique idea of how to serve people, which is why we wanted to bring him on. And I want to encourage you to think outside of traditional boxes when we think about how we're delivering care. JT, you're leading the front on this, man. Thank you so much for coming on live with us. Guys, go check out his book, and it's going to be 50% off during launch week. Y'all, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next interview.